This has been one of those weeks where you really do understand that there are two Americas, not just the America of the rich and the America of the poor, the America of the white and the America of the black, but the America that loathes Donald Trump and all his works, and the America that thinks, well, no, actually, I'm all in on this. Let's break it down, shall we? Because where we are now is turning out to be a fascinating moment. The honeymoon for Trump 2.0 is well and truly over. The media and the Democrats have gotten the leverage they needed to start their fight back over what they consider Trump's sellout of the Ukraine's Vladimir Zelensky, over Trump's tariffs plans, which they say are an insult to American allies, but are actually a rebuke to the globalist agenda that has made the economy richer on paper while leaving an awful lot of Americans poorer. And of course, they're going after him for his fights with judges, activist judges, these one-man bands of virtue signaling who see blocking Trump's agenda at every turn as a badge of honor, a rite of passage, and presumably a good dinner party story for the years to come. Now, there was a time when this strategy by the left might have worked. The first Trump administration, for example, was a great example of this. I mean, we remember how that turned out, ultimately leading to the 2020 election outcome. Anyway, in the years since, Donald Trump has been arrested, shot, had his house raided by the cops, and a whole lot else besides, and his game plan is different now. As a result, the sort of attacks I described now, they're not working, or at least they're not working in the way that the left expected. Now, have a look at this. NBC did some polling this week, and you can bet they were tapping the dials on the screen when the numbers came through because from their perspective, well, these results they found they couldn't be. According to the NBC poll, Donald Trump achieved his highest approval rating ever he's ever had either time that he has been president. You wouldn't believe that from the headlines. And the Democrat Party, well, it turns out that pretty much nobody can stand them. Here's NBC pollster Steve Kornacki.
All right, looking at our brand new NBC News poll, let's see how President Trump stacks up with his opponents, with the opposition party, the Democrats. So we see the approval rating, the job approval rating for Trump here, a couple months into his term, is 47%. It's higher, the disapproval rating, at 51%. So you see numbers like that. Now, for Trump, 47% is actually pretty high compared to how he's polled in the past, but that still leaves an awful lot of voters who disapprove. And so you would look at that and you would say, well, the Democrats, the opposition party, that's huge political opportunity for them. Or is it? Because take a look at what we found here when we asked about attitudes towards the two political parties. Now, most voters don't like either one of them. You can see Republicans, it was 39 positive, 49 negative. But look at this number for the Democratic Party right now. Just 27% positive, 55% negative. That's a gap of 28 points.
Fascinating stuff, that. And then there was the old question, is the country on the right track or the wrong track? Well, again, despite the media hyperventilating about every damn thing Trump does being the end of democracy as we know it, guess what? More Americans think the country is heading in the right direction than they have for at least a decade. The figure is still below 50%, which is a pretty sad indictment of what's gone on for the last decade in American politics. But this is where we are. Now, let's take a bit more from our man at NBC, shall we?
First of all, the mood of the country. This really jumped out. We asked folks, is it on the right direction or the wrong direction? That 44% you say right direction, that's up since November. And if that doesn't seem like a lot, the last time it cracked 40%, you got to go back to 2012. The last time it actually hit 44 or higher, January of 2004. So a lot of this is Republicans, but independents, that number is also up since the election on the direction of the country.
I just loved the look on that other journalist's face. She's standing there like, how could this be? This can't be right. What's he talking about? We're the mainstream media. We're supposed to be able to control what people think. Maybe not. But also there is something else happening in this poll that I thought was absolutely fascinating and frankly, which I think may be driving so much of the divide in America. let's have a look at the gap between men and women. And sorry, this is the U.S. report, so only two genders here. But let's go back to this divide, not just between men and women, but specifically between white college or university-educated women in America and everybody else. From the NBC poll, this may be the two Americas mindset in one graphic. Now, look at this. White men, no college degree. On the left there, you see that they are all in on Trump, J.D. Vance, Doge, the GOP, and they're down on Zelensky, DEI, and the Democrats. Well, that's no surprise. But then you see in the middle, well, white men with a degree, they're a pretty mixed bag, neutral to a little negative on all the Trump stuff. And white women with no degree, well, they're starting to look a bit Trumpy. But then you get over to the end, white college-educated women are off the charts. Politically speaking, they are living in their own world where Trump derangement syndrome is a way of life. They're hugely negative on Trump, Doge, Vance, Republican Party, and they are negative even on the Democrats. The only two things they are really positive about are Vladimir Zelensky and DEI programs. And look, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but this divide here, these figures, I predict are going to drive the Democrat Party to ever more extreme positions, which means they are going to have a harder time getting back the working class America that they once had on their side. I mean, can you imagine this? We're having a discussion about the Democrats, the party of the worker, now being so totally out of touch with the factory floor and instead basically being driven by the HR department. So where does this go? Well, we will also see, I suspect, some new coalitions, because the NBC poll found that this one group, college-educated white women, is, again, significantly to the left of all American voters, no matter also their race or their class or their education status. This is why, I believe, Trump increased his margins last November with blacks and Hispanics, leading to complete and utter confusion in the New York Times. Why? Why, they ask, are they voting for Trump? And we will likely see the Democrats, as I say, get more out of touch with the rest of America as it caters to this one particular group. Tell you what, glad I'm not a single Trump-supporting dude in America right now.